Hi everyone, Pam Gregory, astrologer. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the second half of September and the new supermoon that we have coming up on the 17th. Now, just as a reminder, we've got something quite significant happening on the 13th of the month. Jupiter, having been retrograde since mid-May, is coming to be stationary direct on the 13th at 17 degrees of Capricorn. In fact, it's drilling down on 17 degrees of Capricorn the whole of September. So if you have any planets or angles round about 17 degrees of the earth signs, particularly Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, you may be seeing some success or recognition or reward at this time as well. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can download a free birth chart from my website. Go to this link above and you can go to my store by two-part video series that will explain very simply how to find these points in your chart and what each update means for you. So could be very positive for anyone that has anything around 17 degrees of the earth signs, but it's also for all of us. Whenever a planet changes direction, the symbolism of that planet is emphasized for a few days either side. And Jupiter is really about wisdom, particularly having been retrograde for all those months. What wisdom have we accumulated? What have we understood that we didn't know back in spring? Maybe to do with our conception of reality and what reality is and how the world works. But it's also very much about a future vision for yourself and for others. So really start to use this, because this is going to be a bit of a theme from now on as we go through these months and strong in September, of creativity and future vision. So very positive. On the 17th, we have the new supermoon at 25 degrees of Virgo. That is happening at 4 a.m. Pacific and 12 noon UK time. Now, the supermoon means that the moon is much closer in its orbit to the Earth, so the new moon, the new beginning, is stronger and bigger. So again, see where 25 of Virgo falls in your chart, and don't forget to set a new intention for what this is about for you, because this is the planting of a new seed that's really quite significant because it's a supermoon. The pull on the Earth is much greater, and therefore we may see some very significant new beginnings happening at this time. For instance, one of the themes of Virgo is around medicine and healing. So it could well be around this time that there's some new cure of some kind for the virus. And I'm not getting into the whole injection debate at all. It could be something that's already available, that's very safe, that's very practical. Could be something like that, because there is a link to healing with Virgo. But also Virgo is always to do with the ancient wisdom of the earth having everything we need to heal us. With herbs, with plants, making essential oils, all of those natural things can really help to boost our health. And indeed, Virgo has a very close connection to the gut, to the microbiome. And as you will all know, the stronger, the healthier, the more diverse the bacteria in your microbiome, the stronger your immune system is. So that is another point of focus at this new supermoon. Can that be a whole new project for you in nutrition? Very linked to Virgo too. Another whole theme for Virgo is work. It's very work-oriented as a sign. It excels at detail. Detail to the point of perfectionism, needing to dot the I's and cross the T's. So that can be excellent, but sometimes people with a strong Virgo emphasis can get a little bit anxious if it's only 99%. It still isn't 100%. So be kind to yourself with this. And if you do find yourself getting into kind of high beta with your too much thinking, because this is very much about the mental function. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so very much about the mind. So if you're getting too much in your head with all of this work focus, then remember the simple things I've talked about in many videos. Candle gazing, closing your eyes, watching your breath go in and out of your heart, bare feet on the earth, all of those things within minutes will decompress your energy, make your energy more coherent, and pull the energy from the mind into the body. So that can be very useful too. Now, one of the things that Virgo is very associated with is discrimination. It's an extremely discerning sign because it's very good at detail. It can spot the flaw in an argument. But what discrimination is about, it's really about, we're back to choice, which I mentioned in the last video. I talked about being very aware of those micro choices we make through the day of I have the freedom to choose to have a cup of tea now, I have the freedom to choose to make a phone call now, etc., all through your day, because the more we can focus on our freedom to choose, linked to the Virgo energy too, the more we will be conscious of our thinking, taking one step back from just being in the blur of day-to-day doing. And something I've often suggested and often suggest to clients is putting post-it notes all around your kitchen cupboards, bathroom, mirror, fridge, saying, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about right now? And that will get you into the habit of becoming conscious of your thinking, because once you're conscious of your thinking, you have better perspective. You become the observer. You become the witness. This is talked about in many different kinds of meditations, talked about a lot in yoga, sitting on the eagle's perch. So you are aware of your thinking, better able to control it, aware very much of what's happening in the world, but not so easily getting caught up in the drama, the chaos, the negativity. You are choosing your thoughts. You are being very aware of your conscious choices, and that's a great place to be at any time, particularly through these next few months when we are going to have a lot of heat, a lot of divisiveness, a lot of turbulence on the 3D level. It's part of the whole process, the collapse of the old. I've talked about it many times. It's going to go on certainly until we get into December. Okay, so with this thinking process of conscious thinking, conscious choices, we are helped very much at this new supermoon because Mercury, ruler of Virgo, ruler of this new supermoon, is exactly square to Jupiter. This is big thinking, big expansive thinking, big horizons. Mercury is also in quincunx to Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune in Pisces is also opposing the Sun and Moon, 25 of Virgo, at this new supermoon. So putting all of this together, this is about imagination, big dreams, big visions, future-oriented. What can you envisage which is so far ahead of who you have been and how you have been? In every sense, it's a blank sheet of paper. It's a whole new world that we have potentially coming down the track. So really get yourself into this Piscean mode, because the more we can get into Neptune in Pisces, it takes us away from any anxiety or fret we might be feeling with the mental function of Virgo. So this is, as I say, it's imagination, it's connection to source, it's connection to oneness, and when we can get into that energy, very ethereal, touching the divine, we are beyond judgment, we are beyond duality, beyond polarity, beyond divisiveness. This is unity consciousness, and this is where we need to be ideally, because this is the creator's place as well, where creativity in its connection to source becomes much more efficient and much more powerful. So Neptune is also on a long ongoing for several months square to the nodal axis. Neptune is at 19 of Pisces, square to the nodal axis, Gemini, Sagittarius at 24 degrees. Now that square is going to become exact in January, but it's still reasonably tight now. It's operational. So yes, at a lower level of expression, this can be emotional overwhelm, it can be confusion, but at I think a better level for the whole theme of this month, and indeed the next few months, is secrets being revealed. Secrets being revealed. Neptune in Pisces is very much to do with secrets, and we have a running theme with many aspects that we have through these months of disclosure. So whether that is disclosure of corruption of the old, or whether it's disclosure about galactic of the new, it doesn't really matter. It's still reinforcing this huge shift from the collapse of the old to the birth of the new, which is great. Another important aspect at this new supermoon is that Venus at 12 of Leo is tightly square to Uranus at 10 of Taurus. Did I say 10? I meant 12 of Leo. Venus at 12 of Leo is square to Uranus at 10 of Taurus. So particularly if Venus is falling in your 5th house or your 7th house of relationships, this can be that there's a bit of a conflict between staying in this cozy relationship or getting more space and independence and freedom for yourself. So remember, Venus moves on quite quickly, so you needn't make any sudden or important decisions. Just let Venus move on, and then you can perhaps reassess the situation. Everything passes. But this could also cause some turbulence in the currency markets as well, because Uranus is about sudden change. Venus always has the general sense of currency as well as relationships too. Now, as I've spoken in many videos, we have this long running square of Mars in Aries, conjunct Eris in Aries, square to the Capricorn planets. Principally here, Jupiter's at 17, but we've got Pluto at 22 and Saturn at 25. So that's a pretty tight square with Saturn and Pluto, Mars and Eris. And as I've spoken many times before, this is about the Aries side, particularly Mars being the sense of individual power, the need for freedom, the need to have your say, the need for independence, hitting up against the repression of law and order, the rules and regulations, the lockdown situation, governmental power, state power. And that's ongoing for the next 3 months. And if anything, may get more intense through October and November. So be aware of that. But what is very helpful at this new supermoon is that the Sun and Moon at 25 of Virgo are in exact to the degree trine to Saturn in Capricorn and tightly trine to Pluto at 22 degrees of Capricorn. So this is about manifestation. This is about building new supermoon, but long-term plans. Super positive. So it isn't just a flash in the pan. This is really thinking long-term, thinking strategically in terms of what can we build? What can you build individually? What can we build collectively? Really positive. Then on the 22nd of September, we have the Libra equinox. This is when the Sun moves into Libra. This is happening at 6:31 a.m. Pacific and 2:31 p.m. UK time. So this is interesting because what's happening here, we have the Sun at 0 of Libra in an exact by degree quincunx to Ceres. Ceres, goddess of harvest, agriculture, food supply, has moved on to 0 of Pisces. It's an exact quincunx. So this may again raise issues around our food supply or around our agriculture, particularly if it's anything connected with flooding. Pisces, flooding, too much water, not enough water, etc. So just be aware of that, and it may be helpful just to have some extra supplies at home. A lady wrote to me recently who lived in an area where she had to get across a bridge to get to the stores, and the bridge had been washed away by floods. And because she'd heard me say something about make sure you've got food in the pantry, she'd stocked up, and therefore there was no problem for the next couple of days. So I'm not talking about any panic situation at all here, but it's just in case with these extreme Earth events that we may be seeing Uranus and Taurus till 2026, it's always good just to have a little bit of supply with you. What's interesting as well at this Libra equinox is the square I've just been talking about between the Aries planets and the Capricorn planets has now become a T-square in a bigger way because Mercury has moved on now to 24 degrees of Libra. So there's so many tight aspects here, but Mercury is exactly opposing Eris by degree. Again, I think it's within 1 minute of orb. But also opposing Mars and squaring those Capricorn planets again. Now, this is about justice and about fairness. They could be angry words, Mars, Mercury, about justice and fairness and how much of that we have in society, equality, that kind of thing. So that will add to the fires, as it were, of what is being seen. Remember, this is very much about people taking to the streets. And I'm sure you're aware that on the 28th of August, there were many, many, many millions of people, really to do with the issue of freedom across the world. So we could be seeing something similar here, perhaps, round about the equinox. Remember also, though, that Haumea, dwarf planet of fertility, abundance, food supply, wonderful for that, our shamanic connection to nature, but also an evolutionary leap for mankind. Mercury is conjunct Haumea at 26 of Libra. So I so see this T-square as the ongoing collapse of the old, which astrologers would be surprised if it wasn't happening. It's so clear in the symbolism that that was what was meant to be. Just let that happen. Just let that, don't get too anxious about, no, it's part of the process, but put your focus on what could be coming in. And Haumea is very much part of that process too. So another, again, almost exact aspects, exact to the degree, is the moon at 10 of Sagittarius is quincunx Uranus at 10 of Taurus. Now, both Sagittarius is about freedom and truth, and so is Uranus, planet, freedom, truth, awakening, revolution. So again, that adds fuel to this whole fire I've been talking about people waking up. We could see some shocking events happening around about this time. Uranus always has this connection to earthquakes, volcanoes, political earthquakes, that kind of thing. From now on, whenever you think of Uranus or you think of Aquarius, which it rules, think of new technology and galactic news, because we're going to be hearing a lot more of that. Also think of magnetics. We are going to be hearing a huge amount more about magnetics. And I've recently come across some astonishing new technology, which is already available, not publicly, but it's already developed and extremely life enhancing. So this is super exciting for a whole new paradigm that we've never experienced. We haven't even been able to imagine up to this point. What's also important in this shift from the old to the new is, I mentioned on the 13th of September, Jupiter is moving stationary direct after many months since mid-May. Saturn is moving stationary direct on the 29th of September. And Pluto is moving stationary direct on the 4th of October. So within less than a month, these heavyweights, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, that have all been in Capricorn, are starting to move on and will continue direct for the rest of the year. So when Saturn moves stationary direct, remember the symbolism is magnified, so round about the 29th again, we may see more about law and order, rules and regulations, constriction, contraction, and it's in a very tight square to Mars again at that time. So just know that that too will pass and Saturn moves direct. And as we're looking down this timeline, Jupiter and Saturn, remember, will be moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius in December. So that's out of this dense, heavy, contracted energy we've been feeling and into air. Aquarius is an air sign, so there's going to be a big shift of energy there. And I also want to say that as well as this conscious choices, conscious thinking I've talked about, be aware of anything, really everything through your days, people, situations that make you feel light and expansive or heavy and contracted. Try and be very aware of your energy now, because if you feel heavy and contracted, or they situations or chores or people or anything that perhaps you could reduce in your life maybe, and look at those things that make you feel light and expanded. Can you expand those even more in your life? Becoming aware of our energy and our frequency is going to become more and more and more important, because that's what the world is made up of. And we're, as a human race, we're going to become more aware of that. Moving forwards towards the Aquarian energy in December, this is very interesting because Saturn as a planet is where we put responsibility and where we put authority. It's been in Capricorn. We've put our responsibility for running society and our authority in government, Capricorn. But as it moves into Aquarius in December, that's really about putting the focus of authority and responsibility with the people, with all of humanity. So, we can link together energetically, we can link together online, technology, Aquarius. But think of coming together with one heart and one mind. We have light codes just streaming into our earth plane at the moment, which are accelerating all of these shifts I've been talking about from the old to the new, and really feel that different energy coming in. If you look back to how you were as a person, the values you had at the beginning of the year, the person that you were at that time, how you spent your time, how much have you changed since then? I know I've changed enormously, actually, since then. So being conscious of your energy and being the observer really helps with all of that, keeping your energy coherent, keeping a strong center, and really looking forwards to a very different energy. And the degree to which that happens and the speed at which it happens is very much down to each of us. So feel empowered by that. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you're going to set some wonderful new intentions for yourself and perhaps for the Earth. Virgo is an Earth sign, on that new supermoon on the 17th of September. If you'd like more information about my books, my teaching videos, my very long monthly newsletter, just check out my website, pamgregory.com. And thanks so much for listening. Bye for now.